So thank you so much. I'm joined here by Atira Tan, who is a world expert in somatic trauma therapy and plant medicine integration. It's a real privilege to have you on this call, Atira, and to join us on the Inwardbound training. I'm just amazed by the work that you do and all that you bring. So maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your journey with trauma therapy, somatic therapy, and how you got into this field.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Rob. It's really lovely to be here and to connect with the community. Yeah, I feel really honored. And so I first started out as an art therapist, actually a creative art therapist, and I'm still on that path of being an art therapist. And one of the first jobs that I had, or field that really presented itself to me, was working with child sex slaves. And as I was working with this, extremely kind of traumatized population, and using, many different tools that I learned, through psychology, through art therapy, through counseling, I found that the body was really important for individuals to have experienced, a more severe kind of category of trauma. The body really needs to be part of that conversation, especially with, we are our bodies. Yeah, we're not separate from our bodies. Yeah, as the, our kind of Western paradigm of who we are as humans would, at the moment, would say, we're actually all of it, and our bodies are a big part of who we are. And the body needs to be in this conversation of healing trauma. So when I realized that, I started to dive into, learning all I could about somatic trauma therapy. And mostly my training has been with Dr. Peter Levine, also with, other teachers, but he's been my main teacher. And what I really love about, somatic trauma therapy, these approaches like somatic experiencing or Hakomi or biodynamics or any of these approaches with the plant medicine, with psychedelics, is that, as you probably know and are familiar with, the plant medicine and psychedelics work with our nervous system. It works with our bodies. It's really one. So in trauma resolution and recovery with the plant medicines, I find that this approach, the body-based approach, really goes hand in hand. It's very complementary to how the medicine works with us. Yeah. So instead of using, I really feel that we are holistic individuals. And unfortunately, I feel that in the Western world, there's too much emphasis on the mind. There's a lot of emphasis on language. And there is not as much emphasis on helping people to reconnect with the somatic intelligence, the instinct that our body knows how to heal itself. And it's actually such an honor. And I feel extremely grateful to be on this path, because when we can create the container and the support for individuals, for folks to really listen to how the body wanted to resolve the trauma, at that time, or the intelligence of the body is always telling us, what it needs in order for healing, for recovery, for resolution to happen. So when that space and that support is provided and given and held and seen, the body really knows how to, just like the medicine, it really knows how to find its way to its wholeness, find its way to its healing. And so I've seen that in working with, hundreds of clients and individuals with plant medicine, with, many different categories of trauma. But in my other work, which I'm still working with child sex slaves and very marginalized populations of the world, I've really seen and witnessed how incredible it is when we create that space for the intelligence of the body, the wisdom of the body to speak, to be heard, to be felt, and to be taken effective action. Symptoms resolve with grace. So I'm a real advocate for this approach, for the body to be included in the conversation in trauma healing, recovery, and resolution.
Thank you so much, Atira. It's so wonderful the work you're doing. It's a real privilege to have you on our training, and the work you're doing is so important. So thank you. How do you feel? You talked a little bit, but how do you feel psychedelics and plant medicine play into this conversation? What role do they have in collective healing for trauma on a global scale? How do you feel psychedelics and plant medicine can help humanity heal these collective traumas and ancestral traumas?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I've seen is that these medicines that can kind of work in conjunction with us, they contain, as I said, so much wisdom and so much intelligence in supporting us as a humanity, to dive within a deeper aspect of ourselves. Okay, the somatic level, reconnecting to our nature, which is the interconnected nature of life, which the plants are also part of. The greater relationship with spirit, the greater relationship with our soul and our soul's purpose, and returning us back to our wholeness. Right. So I really do feel that the plant medicines and psychedelics really have this place as being part of nature, as being part of us, and we being part of them. What I would really love to advocate is that within our Western world, we have become separate from our true nature, the nature of kinship, the nature of being connected to spirit, being connected to our soul, being connected to the intelligence of our bodies. And I really do feel that plant medicines can be part of that repair, which is not just in our individual psyches, but it's also a global collective trauma of this separation from who we are. However, having said that, because the plant medicines and psychedelics can be so powerful, and the separation that we've had from our true nature, from our true selves, have been the chasm is great, I feel. And I think in my lectures with your course, I really do believe that there needs to be a lot more kind of sensitivity and a lot more care, especially with that separation, that chasm, the trauma that these plant medicines can bring into our awareness. Yeah. And what I've seen is that when these, traumas that arise to be healed in our awareness and consciousness is held with great care and tenderness and awareness, education with understanding, this can really usher in the reconnection to our wholeness. However, when that sensitivity, when the attunement, when there is not enough understanding about trauma and how to really hold the wisdom in our body, it can also lead into re-traumatization too, right? And then when re-traumatization happens, the risk and the potential of that chasm getting greater and greater is also there. So I guess what I'm really excited, to share with your community, with this amazing community and this course, is how we can be more trauma informed and to really kind of minimize the risk of re-traumatization, so that when these experiences of suffering and pain comes out to the light of our awareness, it can really be held with grace. It can be really held with a conversation which is reparative, instead of one which might, be repeating that suffering again. So this is my hope with the plant medicines and psychedelics, that we can really bring the sensitivity and attunement and awareness into this field, because it could go either way. Yeah.
I'm hearing from what you're saying, you didn't use the word, but I'm hearing that it's a very feminine approach to healing, a very sensitive, attuned way of working with people.
Right.
Is that a fair observation of the work you do?
In the work that I do, I would love to bring in a more holistic model, which I hope, my biggest wish is really about the integration of the masculine and the feminine. So the masculine way of, being informed, having knowledge, having kind of a direction or goal, like that needs to also, be present in the field. However, I feel that in this day and age, there is too much emphasis on that. And I'm trying to bring, hopefully, my hope is that to bring the balance back. So as much as, we are living in this masculine paradigm, I think the feminine paradigm needs to also take her place in the conversation. Yeah, so that there is hopefully a balance and a beautiful kind of pendulation between the two. And yes, hopefully having both. So instead of a yes, but, I hope that this approach, this philosophy is a yes, and, so that we're bringing both together and integrating, both the masculine and the feminine, and both being very anchored in their center and their place. And what I'm feeling in my body now is having a foundation like two pillars of a house. So there's only one pillar, which is, masculine, and it's like, and then the feminine pillar is like really tiny. The house is going to be really lopsided, maybe like how we are in the world right now. It's kind of lopsided. So hopefully to amplify the other pillar will bring a sense of solidity and stability and security in ourselves as a collective.
That's so incredible, Atira, and I just want to listen to you all day long. I don't really have much to say, but apart from that, it's a real honor and privilege to have you on our training. Like, you see, you're carrying so much light, and thank you. Deeply honor the work that you do with sex trafficked children, like such important, beautiful work. And thank you for being who you are and the deep work that you're doing.
Yes, Rob. This being part of this community is really heartwarming for me as well. So I really appreciate the opportunity to share what I feel so passionate about.